Good.
Hi, everyone. This is Rose Odette with Bullish on Business, and welcome back to our next episode. This is where we feature entrepreneurs, innovators, and builders who are shaping the future of business. And today we are super excited to have with us Ramon Williams. Hi, Ramon.
Hi, how's it going, Rose?
Really good. Well,
That's good.
Ramon is an entrepreneur and an AI developer based right here in Michigan, USA. Ramon has built ventures across several industries, from real estate to mobility platforms to AI startup development. He is the CEO of Fair Rideshare, and he works with founders to build products through the AI standard and is also involved in FlmLnk, an AI powered marketing and distribution platform that's designed to help filmmakers reach audiences and grow their business. You know, Ramon is someone who believes strongly in execution, taking ideas and turning them into real products and the products that people can really use today. Ramon, welcome to the show.
Miss Rose, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
We are excited to have you back too. You know, Ramon and I met at the Build an App in a Day workshop where he was a mentor. And we were so lucky to have him over our shoulder helping us out because we were working in some kind of new territory and we really needed his gentle guidance that day. And we became fast friends. And so I wanted him to jump on the podcast with me, and so why don't we just jump into the podcast?
Let's do it. Let's do
Oh,
it.
all
I
right. Well,
love it.
here's my first question for Ramon. You know, you've been entrepreneurial since high school when
Mhm.
you started selling shoes online. What sparked that early entrepreneurial mindset?
You know what? It was just a desire to start making some money. And, I was coming up with different ideas all the time. And I had an opportunity to, at that time, eBay was a very big thing for my brother and I. And I said, well, I'm not really going to use any of these shoes anymore. And I didn't wear them too often. So I was like, I probably could make some money off of them. And sure enough, I was able to quickly sell those. And then once I got my license, me and my brother, we started traveling and we started going to different shoe stores that were selling shoes at a low discounted price. And it just turned into a fun thing that me and him did. And we had a lot of fun doing that. And we made a little bit of money.
Well,
Yeah.
that's so industrious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did
So
shoes that you had around the house, and then you went out and got that is
exactly.
that is
Yeah.
just so old fashioned.
Yes, yes. So it was pretty cool.
I
I
love that.
I
That's
was
what
selling,
sounds like
yeah,
something my father would have done. He used
yeah.
to
So
sell vegetables door to door out of his wagon.
okay.
And that's a modern day industrious, very entrepreneurial and ambitious. And what were you
Yes.
able to do with that? All that money, that pocket change, way more than pocket change for a kid.
Yeah, so what I ended up getting a job, and my brother he ended up continuing to do the business on his own, and so yeah, so that was the way that kind of went awry for me. I exited the business and he kept it going,
Is he
and
still doing it?
no, he's not. He went on to do his own cleaning business for many years after that, and so he did very well in that, and so he got bought out of that business and wrote a book and. So he's doing other things now. So he's
I
investing in
think I
different
may have
things.
met him before.
You may have. You
I
may
think I've
have.
met him. He
Yeah.
sounds so familiar. What? This is such
Yeah.
a small world. What
Right.
a great start. So you've
Hmm.
built business across all these other industries too,
Yes.
real estate
Hmm.
and other things. What lessons from those experiences really shaped how you decide to go forward now?
Yeah. So with each one of those, it's all about, for me, in every business, it's about how can I scale it? How can I grow this business? And there's always a different hurdle in how you grow a business and how you do different things. And so with real estate, what I found was that scaling that business was capital intense. And so you really need to have good partners and you need to be ready for anything that may happen. The capex inside of real estate it can crush you. And so there's some big things that come up inside of real estate that you have to be prepared for. Some other businesses, like my shoe business, wasn't really capital intensive, right? You know, we had the inventory that we kept, but we stored it in our house. You know, it wasn't as if I had a house that I was maintaining for someone else that would, that we had a ton of liability over what was kept up and what wasn't, right? So yeah, real estate is a super capital intensive business, and setting that business up right and properly, requires good strategic planning and even just good financial guidance. So
So was that
yeah.
property management real estate? Were you managing properties?
Yes, yes. So I manage a multi-million-dollar portfolio alongside an investor and a group of investors. And so I was responsible for maintaining all of the properties. Yes.
It's huge.
Yeah,
That's a lot of responsibility. I
absolutely.
just I just onboarded a lady from Traverse City into
Mhm.
my new product called Bullish on Business, the executive
Yes.
information system. And she's a property management person too.
Hmm.
And you can start small from what she told me. She
Hmm.
did a couple of houses, and then all of a
Hmm.
sudden you get the big HOA or a big, like you did, a bigger project, and
Hmm.
it's a whole new game, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. A whole new game. So, and you have to be prepared for it. You have to be prepared for it. So having good partners with you, having a good team around you is really, really important. And so those are some of the big lessons that I learned from running that business.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well,
Mhm.
those lessons will most likely stay with you for a long
Yes.
time. I've considered that. So, if someone
Mhm.
wanted to talk to you about that experience, would you be open to answering questions?
Absolutely. Oh,
Okay.
1000%. Yeah, I'm a person that loves to pour. So anything that I have, I'm ready to share it with anyone.
Okay. I may
Yes.
connect you with my friend
Okay.
that is deciding whether she should go a little bigger and take
Mhm.
on some larger property responsibilities up
Yes.
north here in Traverse City. And I
Okay.
think she could really benefit. Isn't this great, this ecosystem?
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
will
love
let
it.
her know about you. So that's a great lesson. And now you're doing fair ride share. What
Mhm.
problems are you trying to solve in the rideshare industry? It's
Mhm.
been pretty popular since Uber took over. Wow, it's already been 20 years or so.
I know.
Uber's been
I know.
out and about. I can't believe how fast
Yes.
it's gone by. But tell us
Yeah.
how what fair rideshare is impacting that whole industry.
Yeah, so I would say Fair Rideshare was a startup business that I had an idea behind. And its current state right now, Fair Rideshare, let's call it like this. We're on hiatus with Fair Rideshare. But I'll talk about the inception into its current state. So at the time I was running multiple businesses and I was spending money here, losing money here, making money there, in all these different businesses. My energy was pulled in so many different directions. I decided to rebase. I said, let's focus on one thing. Like I'm doing a lot of businesses that don't really make sense in terms of like working together. There's a lot of different things going in different directions. And so what I did was I started doing rideshare in between time before I started Fair Rideshare. So Fair Rideshare was kind of born out of what I saw as an opportunity. A lot of times when I was driving for Uber, I noticed that it felt like tactics that the system was doing that kind of took advantage of drivers. And there was a lot of things documented that I saw and I shared during the time where Uber and Lyft, they do some questionable things in terms of how they treat their drivers, how they pay, things like that. So Fair Rideshare was built out of necessity for myself. And even just the idea and the concept came out
I
of
love the
necessity.
name. Now I get it.
Yeah. So Fair was designed with that intention, like to be fair, right?
Right.
And the way I was building or the economics behind it or the business model was that drivers would be onboarded just like any other rideshare business. But the part was that rideshare drivers we're going to be more involved in their outcomes. So the drivers will be able to create their own CRM or create their own customer list, so to speak. And so they could have people who could reach out to them directly. They could also set their own rates and have their own price for whatever they
Awesome.
wanted to make. And we also wanted to reduce fees in terms of what we took. So fare was going to be a much different model than what Uber does. So Uber takes somewhere around 50%. You never get to choose who you're going to pick up. You never get to have a recurring, rider or even driver for that fact. And so my intention was to, go at the industry and totally disrupt it. The issue is, to your point earlier, Uber's been around for 20 plus years. And a lot of things that they need to set up their business in terms of reaching out to government, insurance policies, these things have caught up to the fact that Uber is making so much money that the entry point to get in is so high. So to get your insurance, just to get your business started and off the ground, before you ever have a customer use your platform, I had to spend somewhere north of $150,000 just to,
No way.
yes. So,
Yeah.
and that was,
Oh my gosh, that's
so
incredible.
if you could only imagine just the challenge of just saying Uber and Lyft is who my competitors are to a VC or to an angel investor, and then have to tell them, listen, I can't necessarily use my platform because I need this investment to this $150,000 investment to legitimize my company in order to get a customer onto my platform. So it was like I had to find different creative ways, and there were so many different roadblocks, even being here in Michigan, the language barrier with some of the drivers and things like that. So it was just, and this is the most important part to me. I was a solo founder. So I didn't have a team, and as I spoke earlier about what I learned from real estate, and you need to have a team around you. Really, in any business,
That's
you
right.
should have a good team around you. And I was working by myself.
Mm,
I feel pretty confident in my skills,
sure.
but working by yourself is not fun. So,
No, oh, so
yes, ma'am.
much wealth of
Yeah.
information, guidance. That's why
Yes.
people tune in. That's why we have our listeners.
Yes.
They're
Mhm.
learning from the things that you're saying and totally appreciate your vulnerability and your
Yes.
authenticity, which is
Yes.
so rare.
You're
I
welcome.
want to know about your AI standard. What is that? And you're helping entrepreneurs really leverage AI in a kind of a
Mhm.
no-code environment. Talk about that and maybe a couple of examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, I'm not a developer by trade in terms of my background, but I am self-taught in a lot of different things in terms of being able to create something technical or a technical product and software. My first stab at actually creating something technical or software based was for Fair Rideshare. I actually built the first working model of it, MVP, and I built it on a no-code platform. It was called Glide. And so I actually use this app. And so when I would drive, I would basically test out my concept to see if it would work, if people would book with me directly. And so I had QR codes and they could open up my app and they booked with me. And so I had several people booking with me through this app that I built. I thought it was so powerful. And this was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago now. And I thought it was so powerful that I could do this, and I'm not a developer. And so when AI tools started coming around, I started going even deeper. And so I just nonstop just was trying to learn and build relentlessly something that could become a working product. But it challenged me in so many different ways to think about how software is used, think about what good software looks like and what it feels like. What are people like leaning towards in terms of use cases or even what do they like, in terms of a product? And from that, it turned into actual products that I ended up building on my own. So during even my time with Fair Rideshare, I had a technical partner and he helped me build out some things, but I still ran the business day to day. Well, from learning with him and working with him, I was able to start building a lot more confidence. He taught me a lot. And so I built some things for Fair Rideshare after the app. So we developed two apps and put them into the App Store, but I was able to develop more things after that. And that confidence just kept growing and growing. And I built my own apps after that and put them into the App Store. And I said, well, I know for sure that I can help other non-technical people develop products that they can at least prototype or MVP. Like maybe you don't, as a solo founder, you can at least you create something that's useful and real world that you can pass on to a developer. But the point is you can get started. And that's what I really believe. And that's what I feel like an app in a day teaches you is that you can get started. You don't have to be afraid of your idea. You don't have to be afraid of not getting started because of the barriers to software. You can get started. And so that's what made me create the AI standard. I'm like, it's very possible. And so that's what the AI standard, that's how that came about, is from my journey as a tech startup entrepreneur and having to do some things on my own.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. What is the AI standard?
So the AI standard is my education consulting platform. So I actually consult and educate people one-on-one, and I charge for that time. But then I also built out tools to help them learn. So I built educational apps that you can find in the iOS store. Two of the four apps that I made that you can find in the Android or Google Play stores. And so the first app that I made for educational purposes is called Tech Stack. And that app is to just give you the outline of what a tech stack is for an app, for any software product, where you consider the front end, what is the back end, what is your cloud, what is your database service, your cloud service, your CI/CD pipeline. And it goes through these different things for you to at least introduce the concepts. A lot of times for non-technical founders, you don't have the concepts of what you're building. And so in order to really properly instruct an AI without any real background, you need at least good
Those,
working knowledge.
right.
Yeah. So I just
Now,
wanted to get
if
some basic
someone
principles.
wants to use that,
Mhm.
how do they have to go to the App Store?
Yes. Yeah. So
And
that
so can I get that on, can I put that in the show notes?
absolutely, absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
we'll put that in the show notes because
Mhm.
you've hit on something that is so fundamental.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm sure it's called Tech Stack.
Tech stack. Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and that's
Wow.
the first app that I made. The second one is the AI stack. But no, the next one that I made was the AI stack. And the AI stack is it talks about AI more in like what AI is. Yeah, like at a fundamental level. It breaks down some fun things that I learned when I was doing my research on what AI is, how you can use AI, how you can leverage AI in the Tech Stack app and in the AI Stack app. And so you can take a quiz after you watch a video. Actually, AI generated, which was this was like a couple years back now. So AI video generation wasn't that great, but I was able to produce some pretty good AI video generations that educate you on some of the topics that I put inside of there. And then after each video, there's a little reading, and then you take a quiz, and then you can go through different phases of learning what AI is. And ultimately, at the end, I want you to look at how can you create a blueprint for your business and how AI can be incorporated into your business. Not every business necessarily needs like AI per se. You can kind of think of AI as like a way to enhance certain processes, but AI is not the process. So AI is something that you use to like make something easier for someone, but I don't believe that AI should be the process, think of the process. Like you as the person that's coming up with the idea has to lead the AI. And then even when you're building, that AI needs to show up in places where you know that it can execute and execute well. So that's what that
Fantastic.
second.
Yeah, AI is just like a hammer, right? It's a tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's,
And when we overuse it, it can show up in some places. And so it's good when we're building products that we build products that feel very like people use the products, and they know when AI shows up, and they know when it's there's something that's off with.
Well,
Yeah.
let's move on to your wonderful hat and shirt. We've
Yeah.
got FlmLnk,
Yes, ma'am.
and I want to hear all about it, which
Hmm.
is, I understand that it is AI powered for
Hmm.
marketing and distribution for people who make films, filmmakers.
Yes.
And how does that platform really help
Mhm.
creators reach their audience in new ways?
Yeah, so I love the question. So FlmLnk is actually like the crown jewel of things that I've built. So this is one ambitious project, and I'm super proud of what we built today. And with FlmLnk, our main what we've built around is our marketing genius, our marketing guru that's on our team. He has like over a decade of experience in direct to consumer marketing. So he is like bottom of the funnel. He knows how to make people take an action from the marketing that he does, which is super important for us and our filmmakers today. So our audience, the filmmakers, the action that they primarily need people to take is going to watch their films. So they put their films out and they get buried inside of YouTube algorithms, inside of streaming platform algorithms. We just found a fact from last quarter of 2025 that 1,300 films on Tubi's platform did not make over $18. Anywhere from 50 to 150,000. An indie filmmaker can
Indie,
spend this
right? Oh
on
my
one film.
goodness.
So could you imagine over the course of 3 months, and you put into that film $150,000? Like that's not a good feeling. And so for our industry, we know that winning for a filmmaker is breaking even, and we want to change the narrative. So our goal is to take what we know about having people running paid advertisement, even just creating advertisements through your organics to create conversion and create traction that then generates into income is super important. It's super valuable for the filmmakers. And I will say this audience of people, they want that edge. So FlmLnk, we start at the core concept or the core of our business are the assets that we can generate. So when you bring in your film trailer, you upload your film trailer, and you can either upload through a YouTube URL or you can upload directly from your computer. We take that content, we create clips for you, we create memes, we create GIFs, we create custom images. These custom images are images that we have internally have a few different prompts that we send in that as soon as you start on the platform, you get what we call a content pack. And this content pack is then auto distributed or what we call an auto launch that takes all that content, it schedules it out for you immediately, and then you can send it out to all your socials that you have connected to that account. And so that's just the beginning of getting your name out there. There's a second layer where we can help you identify for filmmakers. Every film is a business. We can help you identify what's working and then help you prioritize an ad that then points and drives people to watching your film. So we basically help build up an organic way and help reduce your ad spend for every film that you put out.
Well, that sounds amazing. I know that on Facebook, I get a lot of teasers, like they'll talk
Yes.
a little. Is that what that is?
So it's a combination of things. But yes, when you see those ads that pop up inside of your timeline, we essentially know how to inject ourselves into the right timelines, into the timelines where people are going to respond. And it's mostly because of the experience from our marketing guy on the team that knows the ins and outs of how.
So that people will actually. So the use case would be, let's talk about that Tubi filmmaker, and they only made $18. and they decided, they wanted to promote the film more effectively, they
Mhm.
would come to you and you would provide this this first layer of service and then
Mhm.
grow it from there.
Mhm.
And so, how
Yes.
long have you been doing this?
So we've been incorporated for almost a year now. The platform has probably been live for about 3 to 4 months. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. How
and
many people
just
are on your team?
on our team, the core team is probably around 7 to 8 people.
So you've
Yeah.
got a
So
group of people working with you this time.
yes, I am not alone this time. So
Very
I'm
cool.
I'm in charge of our tech. We have our marketer on the team. We have our CEO Jordan Johnson, who has led many large teams of over 100 people and helping those companies grow 10x their revenue or their multiple. And our marketing guy, he's been doing actually startup marketing for quite a while. So his last startup that he worked at, he was a part of helping them raise around $57 million, and a lot of it was due to his marketing efforts. He had a call with his CMO from his previous company, and he was like super grateful that he hired him.
Wow, you sound like you've got the dream team.
It's a very, very, very good team. So yeah, I'm very excited about the things that are happening over here.
Well, what I'm going to do with that one, I like to get an idea and make it happen. And
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
I want to make sure of that. So we're living in a time where
Hmm.
AI can dramatically accelerate
Hmm.
entrepreneurship. How do you
Yes.
see AI changing the way startups are actually built?
I really love this because I can touch on so many facets of a business. And for startup founders and for anything that you do inside of a startup world, you want to be lean and you want to move fast. And AI can definitely accelerate you in a lot of ways. And it can also trim a lot of fat in a lot of ways. A lot of times people don't know what to do in certain areas, and they may need to call on a consultant or pay. They may feel the need to call a lawyer or an attorney, or and AI can help you with a lot of things. It may be simple questions that you just may be scared to ask, right? Or you may feel like you're being held up or hung up on a certain thing or certain action, and it may not be so deep where you need to have this full scale service, or you need to have a person on staff or hire this contractor to do certain things. So there's a lot of cool things that are happening with agentic workflows, with agentic solutions that can help you operate your business, as you know, that can help you keep things going and make things happen, even when you're not actively working on that. Right. So you can set up a lot of different workflows to help, keep up with customers that are reaching, inbound customers that are reaching for your service or your products. And even with development, I would say that there's a certain level of expertise that you need to bring to development if you're building a product. But even with development, there's a lot of things that you can do that can help build products out much faster. And you can test and iterate much faster. If you don't have product market fit in this time, you can iterate much faster and move much quicker with the power of AI. So AI is changing the landscape on all fronts.
Well, I know that you've articulated how it's helped you with early days, even before AI. You used the Glide, which was sort of an AI type
Yes.
environment. And then
Right.
you've done it, you worked with it with your Fair Ride Share. You've
Hmm.
got these apps that you've built on the OS App Store and Android App
Yeah.
Store. And
Yes.
you're able to really have a lot of spinning
Yeah.
projects and make those it does it help you with your confidence? Because one of the my next question is ideas. People have ideas and they think they get imposter syndrome. They think this idea, they might get excited about an idea and maybe it's not AI, but what if someone does have a great idea in their own mind and
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what to do with that idea?
Hmm.
What recommendation, what advice would you give to someone who might not even call themselves an entrepreneur, but maybe deep down inside they are, and they're stuck?
And are you saying that they would use AI to bring that idea to life, or
Well, I kind of
how would
said
you?
that, but I kind of want you to be a little bit more able to freely answer that with or without AI.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people really have that
Mhm.
imposter syndrome when they have ideas.
So the way I think through ideas, I love this comment from Jeff Bezos, and he basically was saying that ideas are worthless without execution. And so whether you get inspired because of what you learn from using AI and how it can help accelerate any idea that you have, whether it's from even helping you brainstorm the idea to actually executing the idea, or even just thinking through the idea. The shoes don't get sold if I don't post them on eBay, right? The business doesn't get started if I don't fill out the papers to incorporate and open up the bank account. So execution, and I love execution. That's like one of my biggest things. On my team, I'm called the cheetah, even though in person I may look like a grizzly bear. They call me the cheetah on the team because yes, I love execution.
They're very
So
fast.
yes, so I try to knock down anything that comes in my way, and I try to do it as fast and as excellent as I can. So that's my biggest thing is execution.
So if they're scared or feeling imposter syndrome, you're just going to say, do it, go,
Just do it.
just
Just
go
do it.
for it. And
Yeah, absolutely.
what's the worst can happen,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, the worst could
Wow, I
happen
love
is
that. That's so
never
important.
do.
They're lucky
Yes.
they've got you on the team because
Yeah.
it takes that kind of push,
Hmm.
kind
Yes.
of a push to keep everybody
Hmm.
enthusiastic or even when they get nervous and scared to,
Hmm.
to take that leap. Well, you've balanced entrepreneurship with your family life
Yes.
and being a stay-at-home dad at times, which I
Yes.
totally respect.
Yes. Thank you.
And well, that has to have shaped your perspective. Does that, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but tell me about that.
Yeah. So being a dad and just being involved with my family is like very, very big for me. A lot of times, especially as an entrepreneur, there are moments in the middle of the night when you're thinking about your business. When I worked at Ford Motor Company from 2012 to 2019, Dearborn Stamping Plant, when I went home, I didn't think about my job, you
Mhm.
know. Went to sleep. I wasn't thinking, is the factory still running? It's not one of those
Right.
businesses where it's like you have to think about the life of it. When you're doing a business, you have to think about the life of it day and night. And the reason why I'm saying that is because that takes up space when
Mm,
you're with your family,
yeah.
when you're at the dinner table, especially if your family's not a part of your business. And so, what I love, and one of the things that I've adopted, I bring my kids to the office. So my kids get to see where I work. I talk to them about what I do. I want to keep them as involved as much as possible. So everyone that I work with, they know all my kids, right? They've seen them on occasion from here and there. My wife comes to the office. My wife is a part of the team in an indirect way. So she's involved. So even our conversation sometimes is just talking about the business, and she
Mm,
gets to think through the business with me. And so for me, having family, even just involved in my life, it allows me to think about my business without feeling like I have to push them to the side, right?
right.
So so for me, it's evolved into that. It took me some time to think through the fact that I'm focused on all these different aspects and components of my business that my family doesn't get to share in any of that. They don't get to have any of that time because I'm so focused on this meeting at late at night, or so it just it forced me to think, how can I involve them as much as possible? When I was a stay-at-home dad, it was during COVID.
Oh,
And yeah, so I was managing the properties at the time, which was fine. I could do it from home, but my two oldest at the time, I have three daughters. My two oldest at the time, one was 3 months,
Oh,
4 months. Yeah, she was born right before COVID, and the other daughter was a year and a half. So I had babies in diapers, babies that really didn't talk to me, right? So I would be on a phone call, giving a baby a bottle, or like jumping into a Zoom meeting, and I had to hold a baby and put her to sleep. So it was, that time of my life was very challenging mentally, even just having to be at home, right, because of COVID
sure.
and everything. But yeah, but it forced a different perspective on me for sure.
I really love your perspective on that. And,
Hmm.
inclusive is what I'm thinking is that you're including them
Hmm.
and making them a part of it. And then they will absorb some of your
Yes.
entrepreneurial. So, what
Yes.
opportunities do you see right now for entrepreneurs who really want to do and build the AI in a day kind of environment? What kind of opportunity do you think that there is in the world today for entrepreneurs around AI, leveraging the AI standard?
Mm-hmm. So I think every entrepreneur that has a specialty, or and let me not say a specialty, but if they have even just an interest in something, and they can figure out how to turn that interest into an idea that, no matter if it serves, and I would say start from your interest, and don't start from a place of what's going to make me money, what's going to be, the solution that changes the world, or nothing. I would never tell anyone to start with those types of ambitions or
Right.
ideas, but start from like what you're interested in. I remember I was listening to you talk in intro Tim's podcast, and you talked about the gentleman Abhishek who was working on the app for his church,
Right.
and it's just like you can do things like that. I built several apps for my church that I was at, and I built apps that were just simple kids check-in apps where it was like you just came and you just, hey, this is my child's name, and they got checked in, and then I would check them out. Or another one I actually built for my church, simple app for one night. We were doing a trunk or treat, and what we used to do, we used to have people go from trunk to trunk, and each trunk had like a question, and that question had to be answered. They gave you your candy, and then you went all the way around, and you got a prize if you finished. And I created a digital version in case we ran out of physical cards. You just scan the QR code when you got up there if you wanted, and you could fill it out on your phone and then show that you finished when
I
you got
think
done.
that I bet the kids really loved it. They love technology.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy, right? Like,
Yeah,
so it's just like you can do anything today as an
yes, you can.
entrepreneur. And
Those are
so
great ideas. And I did
yeah,
love his pop can idea. And
yeah,
that could, I mean, that could
absolutely.
really go across a lot of
Absolutely.
fundraisers.
Yes.
That doesn't have to just be for churches.
Absolutely.
So, looking ahead 5 to 10 years, what kind of companies and platforms do you think will define the next wave in the
Mm,
innovation world?
wow. I think that there's I think that there's a big thing happening with AI on a fundamental level. But no, I believe that AI at a fundamental level is just, it's changing so much. It's moving so rapidly. The companies that are out today that are powering a lot of our systems, whether it's, these big tech conglomerates like Google or Claude and OpenAI, as they're, surging forward to, take lead in that market. I think that they'll become the base layer of a lot of things that operate. And I believe that there'll be operating systems that are built on top of these AI powered things. I believe that they'll have a lot of use cases, but I believe that people will find very, very refined niche, be able to find a refined niche to serve people. And so I believe that it's going to help expedite a lot of our world's interactions, like our physical world's interactions, and having more digital channels, more than just like a social media, more than just like taking content in. through YouTube or Netflix. Like I believe that, our money is going to become even more digitized. I believe that a lot of our, in between interactions that we may not see every day, day to day, they're just going to become more and more automated or including some type of software that we'll just rely on naturally. So how that looks, you know, for sure, I'm curious to see how it all unfolds.
Well, yeah, it's a big unknown, but I love your perspective and
Hmm.
that we've got a foundation, which may be
Hmm.
one of these big companies. And,
Right.
I'm a little on the tech side from the olden days. Before we would have a hardware layer.
Hmm.
And normally it was
Yes.
an big IBM mainframe server. And then the
Hmm.
PCs came in, and then they
Hmm.
were that hardware layer. Microsoft came in and had
Hmm.
that sort of operating system layer. So
Yes.
in that whole metaphor, we've got the Claudes or the OpenAI with chat on that
Hmm.
layer, and now people will be building
Hmm.
technology on top
On
of
top.
those foundations,
Hmm.
and then go from there. So that's great advice to just get
Hmm.
comfortable building on that layer, and
Yes.
then who knows what will come. One of the things I
Yes.
love is that you want people to follow their own ambition, and you
Hmm.
making it super, say, not, I don't want to say easy, but doable,
Yes.
executionable, with
Yes.
the classes that you built on the app store, and your guidance that you provide. That is fantastic. I agree with you on your outlook. So before we wrap this up, Ramon, I'm going to ask you, do you have any other things that you want to share with our audience today?
One of the big things that I'll share is that, you know, my lessons from being a startup founder, I feel like being a startup founder is super challenging. You have to find a lot of balance in terms of, how much time you spend towards your startup and also being able to find ways like you're generally not making money as a startup founder.
Right.
I mean, we have revenue as a company, but it's not a salary for me. And the point is that you have to be able to find balance and be able to find the right reasons to stay inside of your business and to stay motivated. When I was working at Fair Rideshare, it wasn't that I ever lacked motivation, but I was also being aware of the signals that I was getting from the market. And I think that that was one of the most important things that I learned from Fair Rideshare is that if there are certain things that are signaling why you should move on or what could make you pivot, I wasn't a big proponent of pivoting when I first learned about the concept in startup
Mhm.
world, but it made me really challenge my own preconceived notions about this. You don't have to stay hard. You don't have to be so sold out for whatever idea it was that you feel like it's yours and you have to ride it to the end. Like it's okay to change directions if things aren't working. And so for me, the big thing that I would want to encourage people to do is always have that opposite view of whatever you're doing. But yeah, so just be able to like have those conversations with yourself where you're asking yourself, what isn't working? Why isn't this idea taking off? And be okay with what the market is telling you. Be okay
Mhm.
with whatever you as a person may not be equipped enough to do. There may be certain things about you as an entrepreneur or you as a person that may need to grow. And a lot of times, even in business, there are things that we as entrepreneurs, it's just moments we need to grow. We
Right.
probably didn't close certain deals because of our stubbornness, or maybe we were too proud to call someone that we felt like, oh, I want to do business with a person like this. And
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes a reevaluation, not being scared to evaluate yourself and being truthful about your situation. And so,
Your authenticity is so, it just comes through, and I just love that you are so authentic, and I agree with you. The whole cancel culture is so unforgiving, and that is not, I mean, people learn every day,
Mhm.
including ourselves. And
Mm.
so it's important to know when to say when. And
Yes.
I hear you. I hear that.
Mhm.
Well, Ramon, thank you for joining us today and sharing your journey and your insights. I love that you're willing to experiment and work in new and different ways. And I love the part that you are a mentor and that
Mhm.
when I met you, that was your role that day, and you're
Mhm.
willing to help others. So if you're watching this, take a look at the show notes. I'm going to put all of his details in there, and possibly take a look at the apps that he's written that will help you enter this AI space and just keep moving forward. I loved your perspective on AI and startups, and especially execution. I have a book called Bullish on execution, so I really resonate with that with you. And to everyone listening, be sure to subscribe to Bullish on Business, this podcast, for more conversations with entrepreneurs like Ramon and innovators who are building the future of business. Ramon, I really enjoyed having you on this conversation, and thank you so much for sharing your journey with our audience.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Miss Rose. It's a pleasure. I really enjoy talking to you.
We will. I'll have you back on in a few months. And
Let's
we'll see
do it.
how
Let's do
for
it.
that. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.